As they're pulling the drill out, they're filling on the same machine. It was like, that's the coolest thing ever. Where am I going to Can you stop for a minute? Where am I going to hide the bodies?
So we are in Denver, Colorado, and I am here in the survey school shuttle bus, picking up many of our members from the survey school. We are going to be headed to a job site here in Denver run by one of our members, Michael Lilley. Now, Michael has had a huge transformation in the survey school, going from being just a project manager to running his own business. And today we are getting together as a community and walking through his job site as he explains to us what his day-to-day operations look like.
Welcome to my site. This is Holly Hills. Off in the distance is a school that is currently in session. Well, not today, obviously, because it's Sunday. But the company that's building this is Francis Pittman, and it's a 84,000 square foot school, multi-levels. I started flying this job in February of last year, February 1st. It was the first time I was out here. And then February 8th, Al and I came back out here. And I've been flying it since then. So the plan today is that we're going to walk you through my day. Expect to spend about an hour and a half. Normally my day on this site is 5 hours. I get here at 6:15 on Monday mornings. Otherwise there's no place for me to park in here, and I'm too lazy to carry my gear from across the street because that's a lot of gear. I don't know if you look in the back of my truck. And I'm usually out of here by 1 o'clock. So 7 to 1 is my normal time here on site. And then I've usually got all my data uploaded to the superintendent and processed before anybody gets up. So I'm usually got it done the night before, and then I'll finish processing it and uploading it to Pix4D and the website in the morning around 3 a.m. And I send the email to the superintendent at 6 o'clock. So he's got it for his OAC meeting first thing in the morning. So, but yeah, it's average about a 12-hour turn cycle from the time I get here to the time I'm all done, whether it's all in one shot or split in the middle by dinner or conversations or whatever. So let's take a walk. Yeah. The worst part of my job when I get here is carrying these things. So who wants to grab one? When I put this here, this is not my control. Okay. This is their 100 point for the job site. And when I started using this back in February, it was already here, and none of this was here. None of this. One of my concerns having it right here was the fact that all of this big metal, and that's never been an issue. Unless I see a huge variance in the data, I'm going to run an open solution about every 3 visits. Right now, I'm basically setting this up as a base station. And the reason I have this already set up, I've been here since 12:30-ish. I want to get a minimum of 2 hours on this so I can do a static versus just a rapid static. Because it's like, okay, if I'm going to set it up, I'm going to have that log. So I want to make sure I got that good 2-hour log. So that's why I got here early. I don't plan on being here for 2 hours with y'all. I like y'all, but, go enjoy Denver.
Is there core stations or is there any VRS or any other services that you use for correction?
You would think that we would have more core stations than we do here in Colorado because, well, NGS is here, NOAA is here, and we've got 3, and none of them are close.
So what type of baselines are you getting to your cores?
To the actual core station, probably about 60 miles, which is why I use this. I've got this, and when I got the drone up, this is all I use. I don't tap into anything else. So I'm sending corrections from this known point to my drone, and like I said, my maps line up.
That's the benefit of using the same base every single time versus moving your base every time, because then you introduce that level of variance. Now he's always staying consistent, so everything will line up.
When we started doing this job, You know, last time we had flown together was February 8th, didn't come back here until April 12th. And if you look at the maps, everything lines up beautifully, including the park jobs. So that became my line. Look, we're so consistent with what we do that we even park in the same spot. Wasn't intentional, but it worked out that way because you do the slider on the maps and you can see the before and after, and our vehicles are pretty much in the same spot. So you do the same thing every time so you get good data. That's the important thing for me. I try not to do, there's already enough things that could go wrong. So by minimizing the differences of what I do each time. And then the other thing that I do each time is I'm going to throw out 5 new control points. So I've got a total of 23 in the area, starting from Yale all the way down to Cornell and the 2 streets east and west of us. So I've got solid data out there that I'll shoot occasionally, not every time, but just to verify that that is still good, because satellites move, things change. But I want to make sure that, because those are all my control points out there, I process my map with these 5 GCPs every time. If you're using a GNSS pole, ignore this. If you're using a survey pole, you need to measure from your base to your tip, because it's not 2 meters. On here, the 2 meters.
Somebody will set that on a prism pole. And
Exactly.
Yeah, it's going to be off. And that was one of the things that I didn't know for the longest time. Nobody told me that. So now I try to make sure that everybody has that information.
Yeah, these poles are all designed to be the center of the prism for a total station.
Whereas GNSS poles are from the base.
From the bottom of the base, or bottom of the receiver,
From the
yeah.
bottom of the base, or from the bottom of the point to the top of the base.
Yeah, wherever the bottom of the receiver is, or see where Michael's hands are, or fingers are, that's where you measure for that. But when it's a prism for a total station, it's the center of the prism.
So we're going to hit the 4 corners and then someplace in the middle. Somewhere out here in this east or west side of the site, one of these are buried because, you know, excavators are jerks.
They look for them.
I swear they do.
They literally look for them and they want to hit it.
Well, it's like the running joke is when you go camping and hiking, always take a piece of lath with you.
In case you get lost, you pound into the ground and an excavator guy will find you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The other thing I do when we're doing this is when I throw them out, I try to get the checkerboards facing north because it just makes it easier to get through. So the pro tip here that I didn't follow, I've got one side painted, the other side not. So if you paint both sides, this doesn't happen. Didn't know that. I found that out after the fact, but it is what it is. All right, so we're gonna walk this way now.
How many target you need to put minimum?
Well, that depends on who you talk to. I put 5.
That's why I was asking
This
you.
is, so the total site that I fly is about 17 acres. Inside the fence is about 10. So 5 is probably overkill, but I like to be able to get the corners and that one in the middle because, you know, think about a table. I like to have all 4 corners and then that middle support just to hold everything up.
So my understanding of the target is when you do your ortho, you kind of, when you stitch, you just stretch the map you just did to match perfectly the 4 corners.
Not quite. So the control points are there prior to your bundle adjustment. So they're there to basically reference everything to real world coordinates. So when you do your bundle adjustment, they're heavily dependent on those corners. It's not like you generate the model and then you try to rubber sheet it in. That is something that they do in GIS, but that's like coming from satellite data that you're trying to georeference. So it's data that already exists and you're trying to just make it fit, you know, your control. That can cause distortion. It can cause, you know, scaling issues. So it doesn't really work for surveying, but when you do it prior to processing and it's before the bundle adjustment and all the mathematics or all the algorithms that go into creating the point cloud, then it's totally fine. You want to see basically the dependency on the ground control. So if you're flying, let's say RTK or PPK, and you reference 1 or 2 ground control points with that, then what he's doing is he's basically using them as checkpoints because he hasn't referenced them, he hasn't included them in anything. But before he re-optimizes his project, he can go in there and see his value differences between X, Y, and Z. So they're essentially checkpoints.
Yeah. How deep are the caissons?
36 to 46, depending on.
Down the bedrock.
Yeah.
Were you here when they drilled them?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I've
fun to
been
watch.
I've been working in the hole when they're in there. I mean, that last scan that I did with the S20, they were drilling in here while I was walking around. As they're pulling the drill out, they're filling on the same machine. It was like, that's the coolest thing ever. Where am I going to? Can you stop for a minute? Where am I going to hide the bodies? Yeah, these points to me are pretty much useless because, well, half my sky is not visible.
So I know this is a junior question,
It's okay.
but why wouldn't you put an opus right over on the other side?
Because there was a gate here, okay, and there was a tree. Well, there's this tree that when it's fully leafed up, I can't see. So I'm spending 5 hours on this site, total of 12 hours all in. 8% of that time is actually flying.
Right. The rest of the time,
8%.
and that's why I'm curious why you wouldn't try to figure out how to cut down your time on site.
Okay, so I could cut down on my time on site if I talked less. No, seriously, I kid you not. So I get here at 6:15.
I don't think anybody believes you.
Fair enough.
That's not within the budget, no.
So if you get a shot up here on the top, you can see that bubble. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get that bubble in the center of that circle. So I push these buttons on the top and it allows me to move this on all axes basically. So
Is it like hydraulic? Like is it?
no, it's just a spring loader. So this comes down and there's a wedge that sits like this. And when it comes together, it does that and puts friction on the inside of the tube and prevents it from sliding. And then when I push it in, it releases that tension.
The idea of the ground control points is they need to be hitting the perimeter of your site. That way you have all interpolated points inside.
Yep.
So the idea is if you've got a point outside your control network, you're really depending on your drone's trajectories. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but the better practice is to have everything inside of the control network. And then having one in the middle just kind of solidifies that, everything is tied down correctly. So if I'm doing like an Alta survey and I'm doing it with my total station, it's wherever the line of sight is between my shots. So if I got a building in the middle, some trees, some landscaping, I might lay out my controls such that if I were to traverse between them, I can always see 1-2 points from where I'm standing.
So one of the things that I've not done today that I usually do, because y'all are here and it kind of got me distracted, I take a picture every time that I do this. I've posted pictures of my dog sitting next to him. I've completely forgotten to do that today. So, but that's just one of those things that I try to do every time so that if I forget what's where, I can reference back to the photos that gives me that information. So anyway, that's measured, that's done.
Ooh, yes.
All right, I can put that on my hard hat.
See that?
I wish I had my hard hat.
Wet Dog
Thank you.
Drones. What a creative name.
I used to have an SD card for every drone, for every job. So like this job would take 1, 2, 3 SD cards, and then I would transfer all that data onto my NAS, and then that would make it over to my workstation. Yeah, that's a lot of work. Now I have one data source that goes into every drone. So I use this card for this drone, and this drone. And that way I'm only moving one SD card at the house. So I already pre-flighted as far as checking all the props and all that fun stuff earlier. At this point now, I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure my batteries are solid. So when I do that, I go into the camera view and I go into batteries, pull up the batteries, and then I've got all the voltage here on the screen. It tells me I've got 15.65, and then I'm gonna hit the details and it's gonna show me all 4 cells of the battery. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this up to a hover. And I'm just gonna let that hang out there for about a minute, make sure it's not doing anything wonky. And while it's hanging out there, I'm gonna go left, I'm gonna go right, go forward, make sure all my control surfaces are working the way they're supposed to. And then once I'm satisfied with that, I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna watch these battery levels. If any of them sag more than anybody else, I'm gonna bring that back down and pull that battery out of service, okay? These are 3 months old, so this has only got 5 cycles on. I'm not expecting anything bad there. But we're gonna go ahead and push both of these sticks straight up. Nothing sagging out of the ordinary there. Then we're gonna stop. And then we're going to bring it back in. So you've worked with Flight Hub 2.
Yeah.
So before Flight Hub 2 was what it is now, UGCS was already there. I do all my map planning on that, especially for the more technical jobs, because I can do my vertical facades. I can do all the stuff that you can do now with Flight Hub. And also I can track my flight with UGCS from my laptop and watch it all happen while I got it going here. Is it information overload? Maybe. But I like being able to keep a handle on everything that's going on.
See everything that's going on inside.
So I open up my cloud, and this is all just on the planned on the UGCS model. Okay. So I can take these, long press, and then download them to the controller. I like flight planning in front of my computer instead of out here on the screen. Now this screen is much nicer than the M3, but it's still, I like being able to have that big screen. The question was asked about flight times. So we'll look at this, the Circlegrammetry is up here right now. So let's look at that data. And this is telling me that it's 24 minutes and 37 seconds to fly this with 1,115 waypoints. Okay. So that's the Circlegrammetry. And then if we look at the ortho, it's 106 waypoints. It takes 956 photos in 20 minutes. So it's 4 minutes longer to fly the Circlegrammetry, but I get a better point cloud. And I don't have to fly a double grid, because if you look at the double grid, I think I looked at the double grid, it's taken twice as many photos.
It's
and it takes twice as long. Yeah. And it's like, no, but this just works. And I'm really happy with the results that I'm getting out of it. Nice. So I'm kind of incorporating it into all my sites now.
Very good.
Here's the other thing you see that just came, I don't know how long ago it happened, but right, you can see my previous mission here, so I know where my hole is. Okay. Evidently, you can do that on Flight Hub 2, but that's a relatively new development with Flight Hub. So I can see my much better for flight planning, because I'm actually looking at my site data versus something that's who knows how
aerial image.
Yeah, from whomever. For inspection work, you can plan some really interesting missions on here. So if I go from 150 down to 120 in a linear pattern, I'm getting more images. So I'm on site and the super says, hey, do you have something you can fly down into the vault? I was like, nope, but I have something else. I mean, I could have told him about the Ilios that I don't have and didn't want to spend the money on, because, Flyability loves that drone. They charge a lot of money for it. So I pulled out the share. I said, this will do the job. And I processed it. So I took I made a video, did I post that on the school? I took a video of my screen recording moving around in the point cloud. I posted it in our chat group. That's what it was. And moved it around. I didn't go down in the vault when I posted, but when I was all done and I'm looking at it, is really, well, I had to do it twice. I mean, it's down and back up. But what amazed me is when I brought it into the software to process it, and how much data it captured just from the time that I set it down, initialized, and then picked it up and then got down into the hole. All this stuff out here was like, there's a lot of data and that quickness that it picked it up. I'm going to go and cut all that out, because I'm going to tie that vault data with the ground data from the walk that I did there. So I'd gotten the points from my engineer for all the control points for this job site. And I'd come out and I'd shot all the control points, because there was a survey company that came in and laid this job out. And I came in and I shot all my points. And I've got a NGS monument, a block that way. And when I set up over that initially, I was like 7 millimeters off. Awesome, cool for that. My equipment's working right. I get here and now everything's not right, because the points that he gave me are here and everything that I shot is here. Okay. The new saying is the math wasn't mathing. So, and it was driving me nuts and I couldn't figure this out. So Rami showed up last year about this time and we actually had a face-to-face conversation. Oh, you did everything right. So there's something wrong on the engineer's end. Well, I didn't want to tell an engineer that he's wrong, because, well, that's math. But what we actually ultimately found out was that he was right. I was right. I didn't have all the information because this job sits on a modified state plane, whereas I was just using straight state plane. So there was an offset of about 970 feet to the southeast or southwest. And that was the offset on every one of my points. So I knew that there was something, but I didn't know what it was. Well, come to find out, because the engineer didn't tell me about the offset, that's what the problem was. There's so much that I didn't know that I didn't know. And one of the things I always say is I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. I don't, because I'm in the wrong room. But it's nice to be able to just, hey, I got a question, and whether he's there to answer it or somebody else is, I know that I'm going to get my questions answered.
And that's like exactly what we do with our members. We give them the resources and the hands-on experience they need in order to improve their survey knowledge and achieve centimeter level accuracy for their mapping projects. Visit thesurveyschool.com to learn more, or click on the link down below to join the community.